Donald Trump makes a lot of promises and Donald Trump breaks a lot of promises. And usually when he does so, his supporters don't care. He promised them cheaper eggs. They went up. The colt is still the same. He promised them a booming economy. The market is crashing. We're approaching a recession, and they couldn't care less. But when he promised to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, they were actually expecting that. And now that he hasn't, they're pretty furious. And Donald Trump just made it even worse with an announcement he just made that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into the latest decision on the Epstein files that Donald Trump has made that has his supporters furious at him, I want to take a look for a little bit of context at what happened last time.
Donald Trump, and take it with a grain of salt, has promised full transparency when it comes to most of the big conspiracy theories of the past 60 years, something he campaigned on in the lead up to the election. The issue led to an absolutely Hall of Fame interview clip.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Yep, Epstein. Sure about that? Maybe not Epstein. I wonder why Donald Trump wouldn't want the Epstein files being made public. I mean, here he is in 1992 dancing and leering at women with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. In 2002, Donald Trump said Jeffrey Epstein is, and I quote him here, a terrific guy. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. I wonder why Donald Trump wouldn't want the Epstein files to be made public. Thing is, many members of Trump's base do. The Republican House Oversight Committee sent multiple letters to Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding the Epstein files be released. Bondi then went on an apology tour to Fox News, promising the documents would be released imminently. Today, the White House made a big show of handing a bunch of conservative influencers binders labeled the Epstein Files, Phase 1. But the whole stunt was a bust.
What's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells, we're all waiting for juicy stuff, and that's not what's in this binder. That's not what's in this binder at all.
It is the biggest disappointment I think that you'll find. I encourage you to do your own homework on this. It's mostly procedural jargon, Glenn, heavily redacted.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, the Florida Republican leading this charge, said of the binders, all caps, "This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment."
I still don't get, maybe because they're just stupid and don't actually care about the things they claim to care about, but I don't understand why MAGA hasn't taken a look at the real Epstein files. Donald Trump openly talking about how they were best friends. Donald Trump taking photos with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump dancing at parties and pointing at people with Jeffrey Epstein. Those seem like some pretty easy files for you, but they don't seem to care. What they're focused on is some document filled with a list of Democrats because they don't care about the actual proof of flight logs filled with Donald Trump's name. That doesn't matter to them. And they continue to push on this issue without getting a lot from Donald Trump. Even when he was recently interviewed, he decided to kind of skate the issue. So let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll see the big announcement that he just made.
A lot of intrigue surrounding the release of the Epstein files, Martin Luther King files, John F. Kennedy files. Some current and former FBI agents are saying, some of them telling me, that they feel the FBI establishment came out ahead in the standoff sort of with the New York FBI field office over releasing the records and your Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding them but not getting all that she wanted. Is that process still on track? I think that's one of the most often questions I've been asked the last couple of days, to release these records on Epstein, MLK, and JFK.
Well, Pam Bondi's done a phenomenal job in every respect. And there could have been some holdback. I haven't heard too much about it, but they could. But the bottom line is the records are getting out. The Kennedy records are getting out. Those are the ones I really wanted to see the most, were the Kennedys. And during my administration, as you know, I released a lot of them, but then a lot of people started coming in, people that I respected, people that worked for the administration, asked me not to release the rest. And I respected that. They gave me certain reasons, but I respected that. And I did say, I must tell you, I said that probably wish I did release the whole thing because I have no idea what's in there. But since then, they found, and we found, 2,000 more documents on Kennedy. And the one they want most is Kennedy, and it's going to be released. It's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. It doesn't go that
weeks
rapidly.
Maybe, or longer?
I say weeks. Yeah, I say weeks.
So clearly Donald Trump does not like being asked about this. And of course, he was friends with Epstein. There's photos of him with Epstein. He knows that this is something that actually matters to MAGA. And really, he has no way of getting out of it. They're still asking about it. They are still upset. There's a feeling of betrayal still, and so he's trying to push that off on Pam Bondi. But it's difficult for him to do so when he makes announcements like this one that just brings attention to the matter.
But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact.
Now, I looked through a couple of tweets posting this video of Donald Trump saying, we're declassifying all these Kennedy files. And you know what all the top comments from blue checkmarked MAGA were? What about Epstein? Where are the Epstein files? Why won't you show us the Epstein files? We want the Epstein files. MAGA is still upset with Donald Trump. This is an actual issue for some reason they care about, although they do not care enough to just look at the photos of Trump and Epstein together. It's like, what other information do you need about this thing you claim to care about? But that's just the cult mindset of MAGA, I guess. But it is a Donald Trump failure. They are upset with him. They are relentlessly asking for it, and he's trying to distract with some shiny objects here and there that's just bringing more attention. But he recognizes that it is a failure, and much like with all of Donald Trump's failures, he then tries to distract, which is a lot of what we're seeing out of his unlawful mass deportation plan right now. Reporting has showed that through the first couple of weeks of Donald Trump's mass deportation plan, it has not gone according to plan. Thank God. And so this really scary and clearly fascistic attempt to unlawfully deport citizens and legal residents of the United States, this fake show of strength, is just as much about defying the courts as it is about distracting from the fact that Trump is failing. And someone who did a great job covering that failure was Ari Melber right here.
Because Trump is failing to hit the big numbers on mass deportations that he's promised. We've reported this on this show previous to this clash. He is lagging far behind Biden's numbers. Let's take a look at the chart. If we have, in the last full month, Trump came up short of Biden's number. So you could call that roughly a tie. You could call him slightly behind, apples to apples, a month of February deportations. That is the context for part of the extreme effort and messaging. Indeed, ICE and border veterans have discussed this early record openly, that they're not exactly beating Biden. You're saying if you want to really up the numbers in a concrete way over the years, you'd have to go to Congress and get new funding, basically a new funding law to do it. Why do you think President Trump hasn't done that or talked about that yet?
Oh, I don't want to speak for the administration why they haven't. I'd be railing about this instantly because we've been saying we needed more beds, we need more funding.
I think he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do on the campaign this past cycle. I think the deportations are key in making sure that they are targeting the worst criminals first.
When you say prioritization of the worst, does that mean fewer overall deportations? Because one interesting thing, and we're just following the numbers with you here, is if you look at the comparison, I'll put this on the screen, Trump versus Biden, right now, it's actually a lower rate of deportations.
This is the most aggressive action any president has ever taken to secure our southern border. We're also re-implementing, under President Trump's direction and leadership, Remain in Mexico. We're re-implementing Safe Third agreements. ending catch and release. And of course, we are unleashing ICE to perform its mission all across the interior of the United States.
That's some of the discourse and the facts. The administration reportedly frustrated with their slow numbers, according to the New York Times. So as Trump appears to push a strategy of defying these court orders, he's not making that move from a position of policy strength. He's making it from a position of policy weakness and concern about not even hitting the Biden numbers. But you got to keep both of these things in mind. From a position of weakness, they're faltering on their own mass deportation vows, and they don't have some big bill in Congress or some other big plan to do what that former ICE director said in the interview I just excerpted, that you got to get money from Congress to build a lot of beds if you want to do this in a massive scale. Meanwhile, they got Elon Musk and other people cutting everything left and right with no organization. Then you have this wider autocratic question. Are they deliberately and repeatedly violating court orders on this issue where they want the attention? They don't want necessarily a full scandal, but they want people to think they're going hard at the issue, because the long-term plan is to see how much they can get away with violating courts, because they don't want to be in a democracy governed by the rule of law.
Donald Trump doesn't want us paying attention to what he's doing wrong. He also wants us unsure of how we message against it. And that is why he clearly chose this issue, this sort of wedge issue of immigration, to launch his assault on the rule of law, because he knows that some Democrats will be uncomfortable talking about it. But what we shouldn't be uncomfortable saying is that Donald Trump cannot unlawfully deport without due process legal residents of the United States based off of racial profiling. That seems pretty easy, that these unlawful detentions that ICE continues to do, destroying the records after holding people with documentation hostage for hours on end under horrible conditions, is wrong. We want to secure the border. We want legal immigration. It's what Kamala Harris proposed. It's what President Biden proposed, and plans struck down by Republicans. We do not want a fascist police state run at the direction of Donald Trump and Tom Homan, though. Democrats cannot be afraid to say that, because if we are, pack it up. We've lost. Be honest with what is happening and call it out. Please show a little spine. We are going to certainly every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.